Welcome to another episode of the 209 podcast. I'm your host, Angelina Martin. Tomorrow is World Autism Awareness Day, so this week we're speaking with Carlos Vieira, founder of the Carlos Vieira Foundation. He's from Livingston, and Carlos has done so much to promote not only awareness for autism, but mental health and drug prevention among youth. He does a lot, and you're going to learn all about it in this podcast. Special thanks to this week's sponsor, the City of Turlock Municipal Services. Now let's jump into the conversation. All right, we are here with Carlos Vieira. Carlos, thanks so much for joining us. It's an honor to have such a pillar of philanthropy in the 209 join us here on the 209 podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited. For people who might not know who you are or what you do, can you kind of just give a short summary? I know you have a lot going on, but how would you describe yourself?
Carlos Vieira. I lived in the area most of my life. I am the founder of the Carlos Vieira Foundation, the creator of the 5150 brand, and vice president of A.V. Thomas Produce, which are grower, packer, and shippers of sweet potatoes here in the Central Valley.
Yeah, so a farmer, an original Valley man.
Yes. I came to the United States at just a young age, lived in Gustine for a few years, but grew up in Livingston.
Okay, so growing up in Livingston, you mentioned the 5150 brand, and I know that started out as a race car team, correct?
Correct.
So how did you get into race car driving here in the 209? I don't know a lot of race car drivers, so I was wondering if we could start there.
Okay. Well, to start there, I kind of have to go back a lot of years because it's based off of my book. Actually, I wrote a book about. Now, I spent 13 years of drug addiction. I'm just getting right to it. I spent 13 years of drug addiction, and racing was one of the ways that helped me get clean. I've been clean now for over 14 years, and racing was part of that. And there's a story behind all that, but in a short. Yes, that's how it started.
Yeah, so race car driving here in the Valley, where do you do that? Where are racetracks?
So I didn't know that too when I first started, because I didn't grow up around the racing community. I knew nobody in racing. I just showed up to the track, to a race shop in Modesto, and he told me, "Hey, head out to Madera Speedway. It's an asphalt. I wanted to race asphalt. I didn't want to race dirt." So he told me, where to go, where to show up to the racetrack, which racetrack to show up at. He told me where to go buy a car, and I just did exactly that. I bought a car, showed up there with a group of friends of mine with zero experience, and we just started doing it. But there's Madera Speedway is one of the close ones by our area. There's also Stockton 99 Speedway. Roseville has one as well. And then you can go further south. There's one in Bakersfield and LA and so forth. But some nice asphalt tracks in our area.
Cool. So was it like NASCAR where you're racing?
It's stock car, oval track racing. Yeah.
That's awesome. So fast forward to 2007, you have the 5150 race car team, and you guys are invited to participate in a coin drive for Valley Children's Hospital, correct?
Right, correct, yep.
So you guys end up raising the most money out of all the participants, and that kind of kickstarted your current path as a philanthropist. Tell me about that first foray into charity, and how it made you feel, and what made you decide to kind of pursue that going forward.
Right. So when I showed up to the racetrack with my group of friends, right, we were approached by Valley Children's. It was a small little fundraiser, but we raised more money than anybody else, so they invited us to Valley Children's Hospital to make the donation, and it just felt great, like I briefly mentioned, I have a past that a lot of people was there for me when I needed them. I wanted something to give back. I wanted something I can do to, God blessed me with an opportunity to do something positive in my life, and I wanted to take that opportunity, and that's what I started doing. I just started raising money by hosting fundraisers. I utilized my team. We threw a steak dinner, raised, I think that first time was over $23,000. I didn't know what to do with the money. I asked one of my employees what she believed I should do with it, because she was struggling with her child. She found out her child had autism, and so she asked me to donate the money to the local organization called Challenge Family Resource Center, and they opened up a department to specifically help kids with autism. And so after that, after seeing the difference we were making in the community with that specific donation, we decided, we're going to make a whole campaign dedicated to autism. So we started something called Race for Autism. We decided to raise over $51,000. So my card number was 51, and so we did just that, raised over $51,000, and we started donating to other organizations besides Challenged, and eventually just became our own nonprofit, the Carlos Vieira Foundation. We're now a 501c3 organization, and then soon after that, we started our own grant program, because I wanted to do something that was more directly to help the families with autism, right? Like we did with Challenge Family Resource Center. I wanted to do something where if a family needed something for that child with autism, they can reach out, ask for that help. It could be a learning device, it could be something for the home, something that can specifically help that child. So now families can go to our website, fill out this application, and they meet a certain criteria, which is pretty simple. They can we award that family, and so now we started off originally in just Merced County, and now we're in 21 counties. So from Kern County to Shasta County, families with autism come to our Foundation for Help.
Yeah, and you said that at one of your first events you raised $51,000. Do you know how much money you've raised for families with children with autism?
Yeah, I mean we're over $1 million now. I don't even know that. So I ran and was president for the foundation for over a decade, and then my daughter now is the president. So she's doing a fantastic job. And so she's more in the details of the day-to-day stuff. So I don't know quite what number we are now, but of course I'm still heavily involved with it. But yeah, I mean we're over $1 million that we've helped.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think everyone either knows someone who has autism or knows someone that has a child who has autism, and they're just such wonderful people.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean when I first started raising money, I did not know how common it was, but after friends of mine, people that around me learned what I was doing, they started opening up and started talking about, oh yeah, thank you. I got a child, or I got a family that has a child with autism. And I think that's a lot of what we were trying to do too, is just not just trying to raise money, but also raise awareness too. Having people, letting people know that it is common, talk about it, bring it up, look for help. And so that's one of the big reasons too. Like all my race cars I had puzzle pieces all over the car. Everything we did, we have our big Race for Autism logo on there, and just had people start asking questions, talking about it, and through our social media and through other things that we do, just start educating people. And I think that's a big part of making a difference.
Yeah, like I'm sure people were like, what's the puzzle piece for? And then that leads into other conversations. Yeah, and so you not only help families who have children with autism, but and like you said, there's kind of a stigma around autism and people might not quite understand it, but your foundation also helps with two other things that kind of have a stigma around them, which is drug abuse and then mental health. So I know both of those are probably super important to you, but how did you branch off from autism and kind of create these additional lanes? You have the race to be drug-free and the race to end the stigma.
Yeah. So the second one would have been race to be drug-free. And so that was because I finally just opened up about my drug addiction. And actually, even before I actually opened up about my drug addiction and wrote my book, we did open up some, I wanted to do something to help kids stay off of drugs, right? Even before I kind of told my story. But I knew that drug addiction was an issue in our area. So I thought, well, how can we help kids avoid even going down that path, right? Because I grew up in a normal home. I never did drugs until college. My parents were strict, they didn't drink much. I mean, it was just a real good, healthy childhood, but just wrong place, wrong time, and that whole thing. So I wanted to give us an opportunity for kids to do something positive with their life and not be out there doing drugs and being part of gangs and so forth. So we started an after-school boxing program. We teamed up with the Merced County Sheriff's Department, and we started an after-school boxing program where kids can go to and learn the sport of boxing free of charge, a way to get them off the streets. And also we also would send speakers into schools to talk to the kids about drug addiction. And so it was just a way to to give back and try to help the community. So we started off with one gym. I think we have four. Not think we have four gyms now that we're operating here in Merced County, or in the Merced County. And what else? And part of my book too. I wrote a book. I said Knocking Doors Down. My book, 100% of the sales goes to helping this campaign as well. So there's different things that we're doing to try to help with that cause. And then the other cause was Race to End the Stigma. So that was the third one we started. That was because honestly, there was we had the whole 5150 issue. I don't know if you guys might have
because
heard
everyone
that,
knows
but there was
5150 means mental distress call for 911, correct?
But that's what people say. That's the 5150, but that's not what it means to me. So 51, my logo is 51 FIFTY, and the book talks about why I created that logo, why I created that brand, and it didn't have to do. I didn't create the brand, that brand based off of the California legal code. That logo represents something else. The brand represents something else to me. So so I created that brand for that reason, but some people didn't understand that. They had a whole issue about that. And to me,
what was the brand? What did the brand mean to you? If I could,
it's
interject.
about in short, it's about believing in yourself and that you can overcome any struggles and you can do something positive in your life, and always strive to be the best that you can. Never give up. Always believe and always make things happen. That's how I live my daily life. But some people saw that as as a stigma around mental illness and the whole California legal code. But once again, I thought, well, let's start this conversation. Let's talk about it. I don't think, they say one out of four people in their, have mental illness of some sort, right? So let's talk about it. Let's not hide behind it. Let's have that conversation. And even this whole code about 5150, the legal code, to me, that's a positive thing. I mean, so many people have been arrested because of that code that saved their life. If a family member couldn't have used that code to save somebody, or if somebody wasn't arrested because of that code, it actually has saved many people's lives, and gave people opportunities to do something with their life. Because they were a danger to themselves and a danger to others.
Yeah,
so
I think that's a great point.
To me, I still believe it's a positive thing. There shouldn't be something negative around it. But at the same time, too, like I said, it's different than what the 5150 brand that I created. It is two different things. But I wanted to, but either way, I still wanted, because I heard of the struggles that people have with mental illness, I thought, you know what, why not start a campaign and let's help them out. Let's stop the stigma. Let's find ways to help these people. So we've donated the money to NAMI and to other organizations, another organization in Modesto, to help families that are struggling with mental illness. Just another way to give back to the community.
Right. And I know you recently did a scholarship giveaway for high school students as part of that facet of your foundation.
Yeah. That was my daughter's idea. I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. So kids wrote in and shared their experiences about mental health, in an essay format. What did you take away from that? Because I feel like when I was in high school, I might not have had as good of a grasp on mental health as kids do now, which I think is great. I think it's talked about a lot more, and I think that stigma is being, taken down around mental health. So what did you kind of see from that, if you were able to look at the entries at all?
Right. So my daughter is one that's really reviewing these. My daughter and a few other people, but so people that want to apply, they have to have some type of story behind why they're are applying for this. It could be somebody in their family that maybe had mental illness, or maybe they want to study, go down that career path for their own personal reasons. But yeah, last year I think we gave $500 scholarships. I think we gave a handful. This year we're the $2,000 scholarships, and we got over 200 entries. So it's definitely neat to know that we are helping out, not only helping these kids go out and help them go to college and do something good with their life, but also too that we're making a difference in the mental health cause. And I think every little bit is going to get us closer to making that difference and in the stigma.
Yeah, and especially during this pandemic, we see high school students really struggling, not being in class, and the calls for help have increased, whether it's via the warm lines where people call, or even kids harming themselves. So why do you think it's so important, especially now, to talk about mental health with kids at a young age?
I think it's just important that they talk about, if there is anything going on. If there is anything going on with themselves, that they just bring it up, talk about it. I think look for help, reach out for help. I think, and that's one of the things I think in all our different campaigns, and I think that's one of the reasons why I wrote my book and why I'm doing what I'm doing is, don't be afraid to just put it all out there. Don't be afraid to if there's, ask for help. No matter what you've been through, don't be afraid to, accept it, and do something positive with it. And I think I kind of I'm living proof of that. I could have let my past, dictate what my future would be, and but to me, I feel positive. I am positive that I'm going down the right path. I feel good about who I am. So I'm just putting it all out there, and I hope anybody that's struggling or that's overcoming something will do the same.
Right. The more you talk about it and the more people you get to talk about it, that's more people talking about it, and then others feel comfortable talking about it.
The more I'm going to be comfortable talking about it too,
exactly.
Right? You're asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't do these very often.
No,
but
it's completely normal.
It's great to talk about it. That's why I'm here, right? We're here, we're talking about it.
Exactly.
And just starting to feel more comfortable about, answering these questions. And I hope anybody is watching and listening, they do the same too. Just start the conversation.
Yeah, so whether it be mental health, your work with autism, or your work with drug prevention and I hate to put you on the spot like this, but is there any story from over the years of a family or a child or something that kind of sticks out to you as a moment where you were like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. This is what I wanted to do, and this is who I wanted to help.
It happens all the time, really. So I mean, it's we throw a yearly. Actually, we started off with only one a year, and then we actually started doing it at the end here before the pandemic. We had 3 happening a year. We had this Foundation Autism Day. It's a free day with families with autism can come, enjoy games. We have rides, food, and it's free of charge. And these families can come out there and just be themselves, let their kids run around and just be themselves. And so they constantly would come to me with stories of how we're making a difference. How that day is special to them. Every one of those stories was something that felt really good to hear. And then we do the same with the boxing too. We do a crew chief of the day where we invite kids from each of the boxing. A kid and their family from each of the boxing gyms to the racetrack, and they're our crew chief for the day. We get them race shirts, and we during the race we hook them up with radios, and they're part of the team. And I hear stories of how our program is helping them, how their parents are so thankful because there's one family that had the wife lost the husband, the child lost the father because of gangs. We're providing that facility, that place for them, and so they share those stories with me, and even the people that had the issue with us with the whole 5150, they even reached out to me after we launched our Race to End the Stigma campaign. Recently, she just reached out to me again because she heard about my book, and just telling me how much difference we're doing for her friend. Her friend was the one that was mostly affected by what about the 5150 brand. It was just I just constantly hear positive things. So it's an everyday thing. I mean, it's not like one story I think that really stands out. I think it's constant reminder throughout the year. We've been 14 years now doing this. That what we're doing is something fantastic, and I can't thank all the members of the foundation that's helping us, of course, achieve what we're doing, and the community too. I mean, we have great donors and supporters and and volunteers that come help us do what we do each and every day.
It's crazy because I look at my childhood and there are, key moments that I remember and that really made an impact on me. I'm sure you have the same from your childhood. You create those moments for, probably thousands of kids you've done that for. So what does that feel like?
It feels great, but it's funny. I hear what you're saying, but to me, it's like I still think I have so much more to do, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear what you're saying, and it feels good to think that, and know that we're making a big difference in a lot of families. But I just still think there's so much still to go, and I'm just blessed that I feel great. I feel like I'm still young as can be. That I have so much, still a lot more to accomplish in life, and it's fantastic too that my daughter is, interested in nonprofits. She this is something that she wants to do, so I'm very, very excited about that. I just want to keep at it. I want to keep at it. I want to keep expanding. I want to make sure that I'm helping all the families here in the Central Valley as much as I can, and as we grow and we can expand outside the Central Valley, I want to be able to do that too. I want to be able to do as much as I can for as long as I can.
Yeah, speaking of, expanding and starting new things, in 2019, you guys hosted the first Portuguese festival here in Turlock. And if anyone is from the 209, they know that we have a huge Portuguese population. I'm pretty sure Hilmar is on some list of records for like the highest Portuguese population in the country, I'm pretty sure. So tell me about that Portuguese festival. I know it was a fundraiser, but we went, Studio 209 went, and we had a blast. The pandemic put a halt on it, but how did that first year go, and what do you guys hope to do with that in the future?
So it was such a wonderful event. I'm Portuguese. I was actually born in Brazil, but my parents are from Portugal, and the Portuguese is such besides being a big community, but they love celebrating their history, right? And so I grew up going to the Portuguese festas. My parents used to take me over there, and so I was part of all the sopas and the music and the bullfights and all that. So I just I saw an opportunity to bring to the Portuguese community together and raise money for autism. And so reached out to the foundation, and they're all for it. But that first event, man, it surpassed our imagination. I mean, we're thinking maybe I'd be lucky if we get 5,000 people, and we had over 15,000 people. It was such a great event. We raised such a lot of money, and of course awareness too, about our foundation and about our cause. And we were all pumped, ready to do it again, and then the pandemic shut that down. And we were ready to, of course, do it again this coming up April. Once again, so we're going to postpone it. But what was really neat too is it wasn't just the Portuguese. We had a lot of just the community, right? You don't have to be Portuguese to enjoy it. The foods, the entertainment, the dancing, the singing. Of course, we had carnival rides. We had a bullfight demonstration. It was something that I always pictured to be where it was just a community event, and that's what it became, right? It's something that everyone can come enjoy the Portuguese culture, but you don't need to be Portuguese to enjoy it for sure.
And that's funny that you mentioned that, because while you were talking about the festas and the bullfights and the chopas, like, I've experienced all of those things, and I'm not even Portuguese. It's just because I'm from here and I know so many Portuguese people. And so I think that's really cool that you mentioned that it was a community event, because I think that, the 209 community really embraces the Portuguese culture. And so that was a really cool event to see.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to it in the future because, like you said, the food was the best part to me. So much food.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. And so other new endeavors you have, I know you wrote your book, but you also have a podcast now. And so your book is called Knocking Doors Down. And so it's Knocking Doors Down Media. You have a podcast. What's the purpose of the podcast, and what are you kind of hoping to achieve through that?
So I look at the podcast as an extension of my book, where I wrote the book to try to help and make a difference for anybody who's trying to struggle and overcome anything, not just drug addiction. It could be any type of adversity at all, any adversity. So I thought, well, what can I do to continue that, right? Where I have my story, but there's a lot of stories out there, and so how can other people's stories make a difference, like my book is meant to be, meant to do. So our podcast is called Knocking Doors Down as well, and so we bring on everyday people to celebrities to come in and tell their story, so people can tune in every Thursday, and they can listen to someone's tell their whatever it is, whatever their struggle was, however they overcame it, to hopefully inspire and motivate others to do the same. Not only maybe for the people to overcome whatever they might be going through, but also maybe to avoid going down certain paths, maybe too, if they hear something too that triggers them to, like, hey, you know what, I might be going down that same path and I need to do something else, or maybe help others. Maybe they hear something and they learn something or find some way to maybe help somebody in their life. So it's just about motivating and inspiring others to do something good with their lives and make a difference.
Yeah, when you bring up, overcoming hurdles, and like you said, you overcame drug addiction. What are some other hurdles that people on your podcast have overcome? I'm kind of curious.
Oh, it's everything. It's from drug addiction to food disorders. We just had someone that pornographic, issue. It's pretty much everything you can think of. We've had all kinds of different people, and like I said, it's everyday folks and celebrities too. Because sometimes celebrities have a bigger platform to where they can speak and more people can hear. So we've been we've had Charlie Sheen. It was one of the ones I went to, which was really neat to hear his story. Yeah, because we kind of related to each other a little bit in regards to he lived a normal life as well, and then he got into drugs later in his life, and things got really bad for him. But we've had a handful of celebrities. I'm drawing a blank right now who they were, but
Charlie Sheen is enough.
Well, that's the only one that I was part of. Actually, was their interview, and we flew to LA and met with him because
that's so cool.
I used to watch 2.5 Men.
Oh yeah.
So, but anyway, so yeah, if you go to kddmedia.com, you'll have a link to our podcast, and you'll see the different celebrities that we had on.
It seems like the guest list for that podcast could be seemingly never ending, because pretty much every person on earth is going through something, some kind of struggle, whether it's drug addiction or something to do with food, or even like waking up on time in the morning.
And that's the struggle, and that's what I talk about in my book is that getting out of that rut, or getting out of that whatever you're trying to do, that change you're trying to make in your life. And it's about believing in yourself and knowing that you can, and some of the things that helped me to overcome those. And it's that story of, if I can, anybody can, because those 13 years, I was pretty bad. I was in bad shape, and a lot of people said I was pretty much done, and I never thought for myself for once that I ever was, even though, it felt like there was times I felt close to being done, but deep down inside, I knew that I would always overcome, and God willing, I have, and I've taken that opportunity now to do what I'm doing.
Right, and I'm sure a lot of people come to you and ask you for advice of how to overcome an addiction, or overcome any hurdle in life. You wrote a book about it, but I wanted to ask you a kind of different question, but along those same lines. So I was raised by my grandparents because of drug addiction. Both of my parents were drug addicts, and one of them still is to this day. And then I have still other, even a sibling that is dealing with drug issues. So what advice would you give to the loved ones of people who are maybe going through drug addiction, or, dealing with something like that in their lives, because a lot of people don't consider the other people that are being harmed by it.
What would I say to them?
Yeah. What advice would you give to them?
So they probably might not like what I have to say when it comes to that, but there's two things I want to say with that. One is, don't ever blame yourself. Don't ever, the loved ones that, the people that have loved ones that are addicted to drugs, don't ever take the blame. Don't ever take blame for that, because it's not your fault. The person doing drugs, they're choosing to do that. In my life, I had people around me love me to death, and they would have done anything for me, and they tried over and over again, and it was never their fault. So don't take responsibility for it like it's your fault. That's one. But number two is also, don't think that you're ever going to say anything to them to make them stop. Yeah. I never stopped until I was ready. And two lost marriages, two daughters that I wasn't with. There was my previous marriage, so time with my kids growing up. Loss of job, multiple jail time. I lost everything. All financial. I lost it all. And people would constantly come to me and say, "Well, Carlos, why don't you just stop? Why don't you stop? You have your family, your friends, this and that." And I just wasn't ready. And it wasn't until I was ready, and whatever rock bottom you want to, whatever your rock bottom is, everybody has a different rock bottom, right? You're never going to stop until you're ready. So no matter how many times you go to this person and beg them to stop, don't think that because they don't, that it's your fault, that it has anything to do with love, or it has nothing to do with that. It's addiction. Yeah. And it's hell. It's crazy. And so just best thing you can do is just believe that one day your loved one is going to finally find that day, that moment, and say, "You know what, I'm done." That happened to me. There's a chapter in my book called "The Night," and that's when
the night you decided.
That was, well, yeah. The night was the night where the next day I woke up and I said, "I'm done," and that's when I decided to change my life forever.
Yeah, and how do you think that kind of plays into the work that you do now, especially, with drug prevention? And do you feel like you're kind of saving lives?
Yeah, for sure. So, I hate to say, but I grew up before before I started doing drugs. I was an athlete. I played sports year round. I was focused on sports. I was focused on work. Would I be doing what I'm doing now if it wasn't for the 13 years of drug addiction? Probably not. I don't know for sure, right? Who knows, right? But race car driving for sure I wouldn't be, because it was one of those dreams I had when I was growing up, but I didn't even know how to race or how to start racing. But the racing is what started my foundation. It's being at the racetrack that opened up that opportunity. So my foundation probably wouldn't have happened if I wasn't racing. I wouldn't be racing if the drugs wasn't in my life, and then the creation of 5150, the brand that's helped so many families too, because the whole brand 5150, it's never about making money. It was never about making energy drinks or making apparel and raising money or making money. It was always about just a reminder for me to live my life in a positive way. But the opportunity came to use the brand 5150 to make money and to give back to the foundation. So every event that the foundation puts on is all sponsored by 5150. Things that we sell is all donated to 5150. And so, donated to the foundation that 5150 sells. So it all came about because of my drug past, and so, that's why I say, don't look at opportunities in your life that maybe you look at as a negative way, look at it as turn it into a positive thing. And that's what I've done, and that's what I continue to do. And and it's got to a point in my life I said, you know what? I don't want to get old and be able to look back and say, hey, I could have done more with my story. So why not just write a book about your life, tell your story, and make a difference now, and hopefully continue utilizing this, my book and my story to make a difference in together with the other campaigns and everything else that the foundation is doing. So just always looking for ways to do something in my life in a positive way.
Right. Isn't it crazy how the universe works like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just happy that I'm still alive to be able to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's numerous times that I should not have been alive. I should not have made it through those 13 years. And so I'm just grateful as can be. Look, I'm here talking to you. We're talking about this, and hopefully that's going to spark someone to do something positive with their life and give back or do whatever it is. So, some people might not have time. Well, maybe they have money. They can write a check. If people don't have a check, you don't have money. Well, they donate your time. Do something try to do something in some way to make a difference, because it does matter. Every little bit matters.
Yeah, different people would have quit going through what you've gone through, and maybe after they overcame that hurdle, they might have chilled out and taken a rest after some pretty hard years, but you continue to do the work that you're doing. What's next for the Carlos Vieira Foundation? What do you want to do next?
For the Carlos Vieira Foundation, I just want to continue. I want to continue to grow. We're actually right now in the process of looking to expand or build a new boxing facility. I'm actually would love to take our boxing program, outside of our area, and have these, because there's drug addiction is so bad in so many cities. So if it's either us, separately from organizations, like I do believe that the PALs and the SALs, right, the Sheriff's Activities Leagues, the Police Activities Leagues, I believe that they also are looking for help as well, because they have a big problem with gangs, right? Gangs and drugs a lot of time go hand in hand. So it's teaming up with these organizations up and down California and growing our boxing program. That's a big one for me. Our scholarship program, our grant program for autism is in 21 counties. We're now next going to take our scholarship program to 21 counties as well. And continue doing our autism days up and down, the Central Valley. And then when we're ready, take it outside. Go to Southern California. Go into the Bay Area. My daughter, I love her because she thinks big like I do. She's all, "Oh, Dad, what do you feel about me just maybe taking it out? Living in a big city and taking it to a big city. Do something like L.A. or New York or whatever else." So, to me, I don't know if she's just looking for a way to get out of an opportunity to get out of the Central Valley, because she loves to travel. I give her credit for that. She loves to travel. I just want to keep growing, keep making a difference, and I think we have the opportunity. I think we have the board member. I think we have the donors, the staff, to do that. I really do. And as long as we keep getting support from the community, we're going to do just that. Just keep growing.
Yeah, well, we at the 209 podcast are so excited to see what you continue to do in the future. Can you let our listeners know the best way if they want to donate or if they want to help out? What's the best way to do so?
Yeah, so for sure. So the CarlosVieiraFoundation.org is the website to go to for donations. Also for events. Once now we're going to start, thank God, start doing events again. So CarlosVieiraFoundation.org for donations for events. Also our social media. You can go to our different Facebook handles social media handles to follow us on what we got going on there. KDDMediaCompany.com. For the podcast. It's all connected, right? So it's the podcast connected to the foundation, 5150 as well, 5150ltm.com. We got a lot of good items there, not only for 5150, but the foundation as well. So it's all together, working together to grow and expand and raise money, give back, and have everybody believe that we can make a difference. We want everyone to believe in themselves and do something positive with their life. And that's what the 5150 brand stands for and means. And through our nonprofits, we're giving back, and through KDD Media and our podcasts, we're trying to reach the millions of people in this country.
Right. Like you said, it's all connected. Carlos, you are a man of many hats, which is why we so appreciate you taking the time to come on the 209 podcast and talk with us about all that you do. I know you're super busy.
My pleasure.
That does it for our conversation. It was amazing. I think someone's going to glean something from this chat that we've had. And again, we appreciate it so much, you stopping by.
I hope so. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
If you want to listen to more episodes of the 209 podcast, head over to 209magazine.com, Spotify, iTunes, or any other podcast platform.